Howdy, folks. For today's episode of Lost in the Woods, you know it. We're going to go get lost in the woods. First, I want to give a big shout out to my 18 subscribers. I never thought I would have 18 subscribers. It's a good feeling. Thank you. I love you guys. I've been thinking a lot about how to broach today's subject, and I wanted to talk about AI and 5G. And I was thinking about it, and I just realized that I didn't really want to talk about AI. And that's why I couldn't figure out how to broach the subject. What I really did want to talk about was 5G. And I'm not sure 5G is, let's see, it's not going to do what they're telling us it's going to do. But before we get there, first, I think we need to talk about feedback loops and process control. Anybody that knows anything about process control knows about feedback loops. And if you've been avidly watching Lost in the Woods, and I know you have, you'll remember in episode 2 I talked about conspiracy theories and how power tries to preserve itself and become more powerful, and it does that with control. Now, how does control work? Process control, the weakest, lamest form of process control is you look at a system, you look at what you can put into that system that may change it. You see, you measure what you try to measure what you did, you try to measure the change, and see if your inputs influenced the outputs. That's process control, simplest way to explain it. But where it gets interesting is when you have a feedback loop. And what a feedback loop does is it allows the measured change to influence the next iteration of inputs. Before we get too abstract, we don't really need to get that abstract, because what I really was thinking about there is propaganda. Now, there's a guy named Edward Bernays, and he is sort of the father of modern propaganda. He is probably most famous for, he was the guy that made it cool, socially acceptable for women to smoke cigarettes. And I can't remember exactly, I think it had to do with a parade, Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade maybe. Lucky Strike hired him to do it, if memory serves. Goebbels, who was Hitler's chief propagandist, was a big fan, huge fan of Edward Bernays. We're getting a little sidetracked. Why does that matter? Propaganda, that is the input to the feedback loop for the system of control of society. Right? Power wants to control society, and they do it with propaganda. Now, up until very recently, that feedback loop didn't work very good, because they would have to put inputs into the system, and through polling and who knows what else, talking to people, guessing, it's hard to measure the results to get your feedback, so you can decide how to modify your next input to control the system. Television, fabulous tool for inputting into the system. Terrible for measuring what comes out. But then the internet came about, and the internet allowed people to interact with the feedback loop, with the system. So the snow is pretty deep here, so I'm moving really slow. So the feedback loop has gotten much better. The control has gotten more interesting, and I'm noticing it more lately. Just in interacting with people, somebody will quote some Blues Brothers song, and or a Blues Brothers quote, and I'll remember that I saw an advertisement that my kid was singing the song to, and that song was in the Blues Brothers, and then I'll say, hey, I'll bet this person that was quoting the Blues Brothers to me, that was fresh in their memory, because they heard that same song in that same advertisement. Boy, we are getting lost in the woods here. What does that have to do with 5G? Well, I don't know about you, but 4G, plenty fast. 4G LTE, it's fast enough for me. I can watch Netflix movies on my cell phone pretty much wherever I go, as long as I got service. I can text people, I can stream radio, I can watch YouTube videos, I can send emails. That's all on 4G. They say 5G is so fast you can download an entire HD movie in like a second. That's really impressive. But what do I need to download an entire HD movie in a second for? That's really fast. A lot faster than I need anything for. Now, I've thought maybe, these augmented reality goggles. Oh, look at this tree, like, never quite made it to the ground. That's cool. These augmented reality goggles that they're selling, that's going to need probably 5G to work. And that's really cool. I will admit, totally, I will have some a VR headset someday. It's just too cool not to play with. And I could totally, okay, 5G, you need it for that. But why would they just give that to us? I'm a little skeptical. And I've heard you need 5G for self-driving cars. Okay, maybe. It's going to totally change the dynamic of how they're trying to make self-driving cars work right now, because right now they're supposed to be autonomous. So what do they need 5G for? So that makes me think about, well, they do use our cell phones to spy on us. Everybody's already pretty comfortable with, I was just talking to my friend about cat food. And then I log into Facebook and I see ads for cat food. We're all used to that now. I have to give a little credit to the metal band Vector for pointing this out to me. They have a song called LCD, which stands for Liquid Crystal Disease. But they point out that when your pupils dilate when you see something that, boy, it's kind of thick here. Your pupils dilate when you see something that you like. And everybody has a cell phone that they use to browse the internet, and there's a camera right there pointing at your face. I don't think it's a too big a stretch of the imagination for web developers to use that camera that's watching your face all the time to see if your pupils are dilating while you're looking at whatever they're showing you. You know how it goes. If they can, they will. And they can. So they probably are. What does that have to do with 5G? Well, 5G is a tremendous amount more bandwidth. And this is what I think it's really for. I think 5G isn't so much for you and me. It's to help the surveillance. And what I think of is a good clue for that is the new Apple iPhone. It's got 3 cameras, and they say, oh, one's for what, panoramic view, and one's for fisheye lens or whatever. Now, I'm no computer genius, but I think that's a load of crap, because cameras or computers are good enough at processing images that they can turn any shot into a panorama or a fisheye lens. Just run it through an algorithm. So why would you need 3 cameras on an iPhone? Well, you know what a computer can't do unless it has 3 cameras? Triangulate position. You need 3 cameras to triangulate position of anything in 3 space. Now, wouldn't it be remarkable if you had all that bandwidth and everybody was carrying around a camera that not only had facial recognition built in, but it could triangulate position with an exceptional high degree of accuracy. To me, that's a big clue. I think that's what 5G really is for. It's data collection from us, so they can get better feedback into their process control feedback loop. Now, I wonder why they want all that feedback. What are they going to do? Well, you just have to pay attention, see what happens. Sure is interesting. And I think I'm going to need snowshoes for the next Lost in the Woods. This is some tough going here. But I found my road and I made it out. Well, I hope you thought this video was thought-provoking. I thought maybe it's interesting. Hopefully it made you think about some things you wouldn't normally have thought about. Oh man, this is some deep snow. There we go. Well, we made it to the road. Well, alright. I hope you enjoyed it. Bye, everybody.